What is clear is that Russia said one thing and did another. Now, that by itself, unfortunately, isn't new. They said they were going in to fight ISIL, but that doesn't match up with the targets they're hitting. And they have professed over time to seek a political transition from Bashar Assad to a more widely based Syrian government that can preserve the structures of a decent society for the Syrian people, which they richly deserve. So I think in this case, as in all cases, we have to watch behavior.
Defense Secretary Ash Carter today at NATO headquarters in Brussels. Syria's President Assad has gotten a massive boost of support, military support from Russia in the last week of strikes. What will the impact be on the ground? I'm joined now by Dr. Bashar Jaafari, Syria's ambassador to the United Nations. Sir, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me.
Well, first of all, I wanted to ask you about the impact of Russia's initiative. They say they are going after ISIS or ISIL. All Western military reports, including NATO's, are that they are not, that they are going after the anti-Assad rebel groups instead, to the most part. And that's certainly where they have been tracked. What do you say?
No, I think there is a kind of misunderstanding with regard to the Russian moves in combating terrorism in Syria. Yeah. There is a big problem between the Western approach and the Syrian-Russian approach. It's with regard to the definition of terrorism. Who is terrorist and who is not terrorist? For us in Syria, all those who are fighting the government are terrorists. So, of course, here we are excluding the national oppositions, those who are not using arms against their own country and their own people. So for the Russians, when they say they are fighting ISIL and ISIS and all the affiliated groups of ISIS, which all derive from Al-Qaeda, as you know, I mean, whatever the label they call themselves is, they are all deriving from Al-Qaeda. So we are here fighting the same enemy, theoretically speaking, with the Americans and the American and the coalition led the U.S. coalition to combat terrorism. So I think we should be specific when we say about what would be the targets of the Russian-Syrian joint move in combating terrorism.
Well, there's not going to be an agreement between the U.S. and the Syrian government or the Russian government on that definition for sure. But that said, what about the effect on the people, on your people? There is no dispute internationally that there has been barrel bombing by your regime, and we've seen the evidence on the ground. How do you respond to the allegations about the horrific bombing of your own civilians?
Humbly speaking, vividly speaking, we are not a regime. We are a legitimate government of a sovereign country, member of the United Nations. So we are a government equally to other governments, including the American administration.
Accepting your point, I take your point. Do governments barrel bomb their own people?
No, this is again another wrong approach towards what the government is doing. When these two Chechnyan terrorists exploded their device at the marathon in Boston, all the American police, all the American intelligence, all the police, all the American army participated at chasing and hunting these two terrorists, and we all called them terrorists because they were terrorists.
And we also arrested the surviving brother and put him on trial with full rights. We didn't drop a bomb on their house.
No, the point is that...
And kill all of the civilians living there.
The point is not... I'm not contradicting what you are saying, of course, but why would these two Chechnyans be called in America terrorists and in Syria called moderate Syrian opposition? This is a wrong approach. It doesn't make sense. This is irrational. Both are Chechnyans. Those who are, what we are fighting in Syria are Chechnyans, and those two terrorists who bombed Boston were Chechnyans. So both in the two cases, in Syria as well as in USA, we are talking about foreigners, about mercenaries, mobilized, sent, trained by foreigner powers. Foreigner intelligence. So when the Syrian government attack these terrorists in Syria, wherever they are, We are not attacking the civilians. On the contrary, the problem that we are facing is that we cannot liberate, for instance, a huge city such as Al-Raqqa in Syria, which is the capital of ISIL. The reason is very simple. It's because there are 800,000 civilians inside. So ISIL is taking the civilians as a human shields. And we cannot attack this city, heavily speaking, I mean, in order to kill 3,000 terrorists from ISIL, but the price would be highly costly. We are talking about almost 1 million Syrian civilians living in Raqqa.
Are there any circumstances under which President Assad would, in a negotiated solution with the United States, with Russia, with others, an international group in Geneva, someplace else, under any circumstances would he step down and agree to a transitional government?
The idea of stepping down for any president in the world, including the American president, is up to his people, is up to the American people, to the Syrian people, to the French people, to the British people. No president should step down just because a foreign power is asking him to do so. This is wrong. This is illegal and unlawful. And we shouldn't speak this language, politically speaking or diplomatically speaking. The President Assad was elected by the Syrian people, and it's up to the Syrian people to decide for his destiny. So any interference with this regard from any foreign power is an interference into our domestic affairs, and this runs against the international law. Now, we in Syria, yes, we are open towards any political settlement based on the following principles. First, respecting the sovereignty of Syria, territorial integrity, and the principle of not interfering into our domestic affairs. Second, the settlement should be done by Syrians themselves, led by the Syrians, which is in accordance with the Geneva Communique 1, as you know. Third, the priority of the priorities is to exert pressure on the neighboring countries of Syria to shut down their borders with us and stop the infiltration of thousands of terrorist foreigners, mercenaries, gathered from all over the world and sent to Syria through our joint border with the neighboring countries. All these strategies should stop in order to give the Syrian people and the Syrian leadership and the international community and Mr. de Mistura the possibility to go ahead with the political settlement.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much. To be continued.
Thank you so much.